And time to start. Good afternoon, everyone. Again, if you would, just check your cell phones and make sure that they're turned off or in silence. This is the June 24th, 2025 Hardin County Fiscal Court regular voting meeting. Let's begin and call this meeting to order. Okay, we'll have a roll call, please.
Squire Clem.
Here.
Squire Hicks.
Here.
Squire Muse.
Here.
Squire Pennington.
Here.
Squire Saltzman.
Here.
Squire Thompson. Squire Whitehead.
Here.
Squire Yates.
Here.
Judge Executive Keith Tall.
Here. Next, we'll have our invocation by Magistrate Clem and Pledge of Allegiance by Magistrate Yates.
Please pray with me. Our most gracious and loving Heavenly Father, we just thank you so much for this beautiful day that you've given us, Father, and all the blessings of it. Father, we just come praise in your holy name. Father, we lift up our men and women in uniform all across the globe, especially in the Middle East now, Father. We just ask for calmness and wisdom. And Father, we just ask your blessings upon Israel. Father, we ask that you be with everyone that's in the decision-making process there. Give them calmness and give them wisdom in the decisions that they make going forward. Father, today I was going through Facebook and I saw something that was written that really touched my heart. It said, no matter how rough life gets, the cross still stands, grace still flows, and God still reigns. And we praise your holy name for that. In your Son, Jesus' name I pray. Amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. Thanks again for joining our meeting today. It's great to see all of you and some that are, I'm sure, watching on TV. Thanks again to Mayor Cerisi for joining us today, coming all the way from northern Hardin County. And so let's review the agenda. We have today some informational items that we'll go over, and then we have some department and office report presentations to run through. We'll have a time of any citizens' concerns or comments. After that, we have an ordinance and several resolutions to address, and then the consent agenda after that, and then comments at the end. So that's the agenda, and just a couple notes that again, we'll have a little bit of an update on the flood recovery, where we're at with that. That's coming up here in a moment in the informational items. One note that we are still waiting on public assistance declaration from the President. So we still have not received that declaration, which is a bit odd. Now, maybe he's been a little busy, okay? So that may be part of the reason. So we'll see how that goes. All right, we'll move on then to the next item, which is approve of Hardin County Fiscal Court June 10th, 2025 minutes. I need a motion to approve.
So moved.
Second. Did you get a second?
Muse and Yates.
Yeah, that's good enough.
I heard Muse.
Okay, that's fine. All right, very good. Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Squire Clem.
Yes.
Squire Hicks.
Yes.
Squire Muse.
Yes.
Squire Pennington.
Yes.
Squire Saltzman.
Yes.
Squire Thompson. Squire Whitehead.
Yes.
Squire Yates.
Yes.
Judge Executive Keith Tall.
Yes, motion passes. All right, next we will move on into informational items, and Mark Peterson is going to present a very exciting achievement award.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Hardin County EMS got word at the beginning of this month that we were awarded the American Heart Association Mission Lifeline Silver Award, and I just want to kind of talk to you about what that entails. The Mission Lifeline EMS is the American Heart Association's program focuses on the quality of care and outcomes for pre-hospital stroke, heart attack, and cardiac arrest patients by connecting all care components into a seamlessly integrated care system. Key tenets of these systems of care reinforce evidence-based guidelines and measure performance, identify gaps, and engage in quality improvement. So in order to be recognized, we have to meet 75% or greater of the American Heart Association EMS measures 1 through 7. I'll kind of briefly go over some of these measures with you. Measure 1 is the pre-arrival notification for suspected stroke patients. That's letting the receiving hospital know that we have on scene with a patient that could potentially have a stroke. That gets balls going in their court, going CT, stuff like that. Documentation of last known well for patients with a suspected stroke. It's very important to us that we know the last time the patient was seen normal. That's what the last known well means. Last time they were normal, so we can, the treatment is based on that time frame. Evaluation of blood glucose for patients with suspected stroke. Stroke symptoms can sometimes mimic those of patients that are having diabetic issues, so that's why it's important to document those. And then we do a stroke screen performed and documented on all our patients. Continuing that, 12-lead EKG performed within 10 minutes. Those are specifically for chest pain related type calls. The administration of aspirin for STEMI, which is a indication of a heart attack on the 12-lead. And then aspirin administration for suspected heart attack patients as well. Little history. Last year in 2024, only 24 EMS agencies in the state of Kentucky received the Mission Lifeline EMS recognition. We last received this award in 2019, and next year, when we submit our data, that will make us eligible to submit for the gold standard. Right now is just silver. This is what the award looks like. We're getting ready to outfit the back of our ambulances with that design there on the left so that everybody knows that we have received this, this award. And all thanks goes to Eric Cook, the new deputy director. He did all the data input for this, which was pretty cumbersome, and got the ball rolling on this for us. So we're pretty excited about it. It's all stuff we do every day, but to be recognized for it at this level is pretty remarkable. So any questions on that?
Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you.
Congratulations to you on that.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's awesome. I have the award up here, and before I thought we could just present that and get around and take a picture and just celebrate a little bit here for all the hard work that our providers are giving their patients, which are all of us and our citizens in the county, and this is just another way to say, we're at a high level, and it should comfort all of us that we have such a good agency here. Yes, that's providing those services. So I hope that you'll, since they're out working right now.
Yes, sir, they are very busy.
That there'll be an opportunity maybe to, thank them and, let them know how much they're appreciated through all of this.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay.
And then I've got a quick briefing from Joey via Florida. He sends his well wishes. There have been 472 registrations for assistance following the flood event. Of those 472, 469 were valid registrations. And so far, $2,945,043.69 has been awarded to those registrations for disaster assistance in the county from FEMA.
And I don't have the date in front of me right now, but I believe it's July 25th or in that ballpark of when that people still have the ability to go and register and still get some help, financial help from FEMA. So there's still more time. If anybody's watching or if you know of anybody that was impacted that has not at least tried to go get some help with putting things back in order, you still have time. There's still time to do that. All right, thank you. So if all of you would help me and make this presentation, take a picture. All right, thank you, Mark. All right, next up, we have a presentation from our coroner's office. I don't think Pat is here, but we have somebody that I believe is, I don't know, maybe even more qualified. But
I doubt he's ever given one of these.
this is not your first time. To give
Not my first rodeo.
Okay, all right.
Thank you, Judge. Good evening to the Judge and members of the court. It has been a while since I've been here, but I remember first year, 1986, elected the first year, my coroner year. In fact, looking over some numbers a while ago, the first year we had about 180 coroner deaths that year. Now we're well over 1,000. I think, Harris, you probably know more than I do. I think we're working on 543 looking on the computer a while ago. In fact, we added 4 more deaths today. So the coroner's office is still busy, but it's good to see all of you. Many of us known of several years. One of them back in the corner I saw in the office a while ago. But Pat not here, so I'll take the responsibility for giving the coroner report April and May. Did we get some help on the clicker? Who's got the clicker? Over here. Okay, good. Thank you. All right. So April and May. April total cases 102. It says I got my pages mixed up. A bad start here, Judge.
That's okay. Take your time.
April, 79 cases. And the breakdown, you see there 1 accident and 3 suicides. Those are all gunshots. And then 74 natural deaths. Still pending 1 autopsy. Some of those of you know autopsies are done up in Louisville by the medical examiner's office, and sometimes it takes 4 to 6 weeks or even longer to get those reports back. So once that's back, they'll classify the death into one of the other categories. So the next month, 102 again. As I said a while ago, I had over 100 the entire year in '86. And now here the month of May, we already had over 100, 102. So the breakdown: 3 accidents, 1 car accident, and then 2 overdoses, oxycodone and meth, and 3 autopsies. We're waiting on the results. There were 96 natural deaths. Again, once these 3 reports come back, we'll categorize those to complete the monthly report. Next slide, bar graph showing different categories we've kept up with for years, and the number of autopsies and cremations, EMS transport. In fact, I just mentioned to Mark a while ago that used to have his folks transport the decedents back to the coroner office for us. Now you guys have helped us get some trucks, so we've been able to do our own transporting, and he stays busy enough with live folks, so I'm glad to relieve him of some of those duties. But anyway, the first category, the autopsies, and by the way, the orange category there, that's 2025. As you know, we're only into that for 5 months, so that's not a complete yearly total, but caught my attention. In fact, we've already got 11 autopsies in 5 months, and 3 previous years we went to less than 10 in the entire year. So I know we've had some crazy cases this past year where we had to get help from the medical examiner to give us the cause of death. So I don't have a better explanation than that for you. Next category, the cremations, and of course back in 2022, our big number, 280 or 265, and through May of this year, 176, and we'll have, I guess, a half-year mark will be the end of June. Why don't you, your next report, you'll get that. So I don't know why the drop in, because cremations I thought was increasing in the, whether it be the cost of funerals or the cultural things or personal things or whatever. But I know for years the cremations arose, and the coroner has to give the okay to sign papers on that before a person can be cremated in Kentucky. And sometimes we get argued. Some people don't think that ought to be right, but that's the way the law reads. That other category, the EMS transport, as you see, through May, don't have any help from EMS. They're always there to help us on the cases, obviously, but we can do our own transporting of the bodies back to the coroner office so far. Last category there, the coroner transport, and you see the 92 for the 5 months of this year, so we've been doing a lot of transporting, and it's nice to have that second truck, so thank you all for your help on that. And we do have several times where we got 2 cases going on at one time. And back in my early days, I didn't see that. You might go 2 or 3 days without a single case, and we've had 4 today. So, next page. In fact, Shana's got on the bottom there this, what I just mentioned already, this 2025, we just are through the month of May there. You see the final column there with 14 overdose deaths to date, and our high for the years, previous years, during 2022 had 55, and I think fentanyl still seems to be the #1 killer. I don't know, Jenny, you may know more about that than I do, but still too many. I think the legislation, some of the laws that are being passed now, and then health cares and different things that way are hopefully bringing those numbers down, and education and maybe parents understanding the importance of keeping their kids away from those kinds of things. Okay, last page. Community partners, Shana has that mentioned, and I think you all are aware that CAECO had a grant for the QRT, Quick Response Team, involving drug situations, and Justin Blair, I think, is in our office as part of that. I'm still not sure I understand all that's going on there. I'm not on the ups with our department. I'm not aware of all the things that happen like I used to be. I used to be in control. I'm not there now, so, but I'm glad somebody else is. Lisa. Okay. QRT there, Justin, I just talked to him a few minutes ago, and I guess they respond now to families that are having members with overdose problems, both alive and dead. So, and those families are referred, I think, to that QRT, to the team, and they make residential visits and so forth. And you see some things on their list there that they're equipped and trained to assist families. And again, I don't know all that's going on there, but that's all my report, Judge. So if any questions I can try to answer, I'd be glad to.
Anybody have any questions, comments?
And thanks for what you all do. Appreciate all of you.
Yeah, thank you. Appreciate that presentation.
Good to see you.
You did a great job. We might ask for you in the future.
We're going to get subs on all of it.
All right. Next, from the Sheriff's Office. I don't see John Ward.
He's with Miranda's boss, Brian Smith, and with Doc's boss, Pat Elmore, somewhere evidently. I don't know. I'm not sure.
Yeah, they're out.
Why are you here, Jenny?
I don't know.
They're out maybe having a party someplace. I don't know.
No, Sheriff Ward is at training, and sends his regards that he could not be here, so we will move on. And the first slide will be on law enforcement. For April and May, there were 181 arrests, 301 citations, 160 warrants. Civil papers were 993. Complaint calls were 2,559. Accidents worked were 125, and criminal cases worked were 97. During the day, the deputies had 598 school safety checks, 213 violation warnings, and 2,362 attempts to serve papers. So in the office operations in April and May consisted of 97 people needing their records checked, 98 CCDWs, and 1,482 vehicle inspections. Court transportation for April and May consisted of 74 transports to adult court, 21 transports to court juvenile, and there was 90 transports in state. That concludes the report for Sheriff Ward. Does anyone have any questions concerning it? Okay, we're going to move on to the financials. And I did not get my report to BK in time, and I apologize. But I have a brief summary of the office operations. We are currently in debt, 1.526,073. So about $1.5 million in debt, which is completely normal for us, as our lump sum payments come in certain times of the year, and we all catch up in December when we get our tax commissions. And in May of 2024, I went back and checked, and it was pretty close to the same balance that we are in debt, so we are in the same time frame as we were a year ago today. So, does anyone have any questions about the financial report? Good.
All right, thank you for the report.
Thank you all. I appreciate that. Have a great day.
Thank you.
All right, next up, clerk, I don't see a bow tie. So, are you going to get the report today?
Yes.
Okay.
I don't have a bow tie.
It's okay.
Brian Smith, the clerk, he has completed this report for me to present. The May 2025 fees and commissions for the difference between May of last year and May of this year was $155,280.73. The 75% mark that goes to the state is $116,460.55, and then the 25% mark would eventually go back to fiscal court is $38,820.18. All I know for that page. He put in this presentation to alert the public that there's some scams that's out by text, and for the public to realize that this is not the Hardin County Clerk's Office text or the Kentucky Transportation Cabinet. So there's some items on this PowerPoint presentation that he points out that is not a legitimate sections of a text for the county. So Kentucky does not have a code 15C-16.003. I have no idea what that is. But if you want to report the text to an official, you can do www.ic3.gov, www.reportfraud.ftc.gov, or you can forward the message to 7726, which is spam. And I think that's it.
All right. Well, thank you for that and the warning on this scam stuff, because that seems like I get a text or an email almost every day, and it's sometimes hard to tell. So thanks again. All right. There's some written reports available that you can access on the website. So we'll move on to citizens' concerns or comments. Anybody have anything that you want to bring to us today? All right, seeing none, then we'll move on to our ordinances and resolutions. We'll start out with the first reading of a new or an updated, I guess, ethics ordinance number 346, series 2025, amending ordinance number 107, 1994. I believe this was amended in 96 and 99, so it's been a long time coming, I believe. This this ordinance needed to be updated with a lot more clarification, and which will be very helpful for the Ethics Board to understand it and its role, and then also to be able to handle any issue that comes before them. It is an ordinance that is shared, which made it more difficult, I think, for us and for our county attorney to work with several other attorneys, I guess, from cities of E-Town, Radcliffe, Vine Grove, then West Point in Hardin County. So this is a combined effort to make the ethics, to make it, ethics issues is, not to try to divide it up, everybody in the county, but to have it addressed by one board. So each of those entities place one person on the board. So we have those people on the board right now. They're ready to go, kind of waiting for this updated ordinance and some training on it, and then they'll be set. Do you have any additional comments?
I think we're still waiting for the cities to pass the same, but they're on schedule to do that, I believe.
Okay, very good. All right, so is there a motion to approve this ordinance?
So moved. Second.
Saltzman, Pennington.
Okay. And is there any discussion?
I would just like to publicly thank Jenny Oldham, our county attorney, the city of Radcliffe attorney, I believe Michael Pike, the E-Town city attorney. His name is just zipped right out of my brain. Judge
Howard.
Ken Howard, yes. And I think the three of you were the main ones that...
And then Mayor Cerisi had submitted some things in writing.
Okay, yeah. So I just want to thank everybody for all the time that they put into it, getting things tweaked and put where it needed to be, and some give and take on everybody's part there to make everything unified for everybody. So I want to thank you for that.
Anybody else?
I'd like to also just piggyback on what Mr. Saltzman said. Thank you so much, Jenny, for leading the charge on this, and to all those that are involved. Much needed, and I'm glad we're getting it done. Appreciate you.
Sure. And I just found a typo. I've looked at it 100 times, and I just found a typo on the first page, so I'll get with you, BK.
Any other discussion? All right. Hearing none, we'll do a roll call, please.
Squire Clem,
Yes.
Squire Hicks,
Yes.
Squire Muse,
Yes.
Squire Pennington,
Yes.
Squire Saltzman,
Yes.
Squire Thompson, Squire Whitehead,
Yes.
Squire Yates,
Yes.
Judge Executive Keith Tall.
Yes, motion passes. All right, we'll move on to several resolutions. The first one we'll address is Resolution 110, and this is related to approval of the Road Department job description revisions. These are all revisions related to the next resolution that has to do with their pay grade revisions. So, do we have a motion to approve?
So moved. Second.
Moved. Pennington.
Pennington and
Who seconded?
Yates is fine.
All right. Any discussion? All right, we'll have roll call, please.
Squire Clem,
Yes.
Squire Hicks,
Yes.
Squire Muse,
Yes.
Squire Pennington,
Yes.
Squire Saltzman,
Yes.
Squire Thompson, Squire Whitehead,
Yes.
Squire Yates,
Yes.
Judge Executive Keith Tall.
Yes, motion passes. All right, we'll move on to Resolution 111, and this is related to the approval of the Road Department pay grade revisions. Basically, there was a one pay grade increase of about 5% for all the Road Department employees. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
Clem, Saltzman,
All right, any discussion? Hearing none, a roll call, please.
Squire Clem,
Yes.
Squire Hicks,
Yes.
Squire Muse,
Yes.
Squire Pennington,
Yes.
Squire Saltzman,
Yes.
Squire Thompson, Squire Whitehead,
Yes.
Squire Yates,
Yes.
Judge Executive Keith Tall.
Yes, motion passes. All right, move on. Next, two have to do with 911, and this is Resolution 112, related to approval of E911 job description revisions. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Any discussion? Hearing none, roll call, please.
Squire Clem,
Yes.
Squire Hicks,
Yes.
Squire Muse,
Yes.
Squire Pennington,
Yes.
Squire Saltzman,
No.
Squire Thompson, Squire Whitehead,
Yes.
Squire Yates,
Yes.
Judge Executive Keith Tall.
Yes, motion passes. Next is Resolution 113, and this is related to the approval of E911 pay grade revisions. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Any discussion? Hearing none, we'll do roll call, please.
Squire Clem,
Yes.
Squire Hicks,
Yes.
Squire Muse,
Yes.
Squire Pennington,
Yes.
Squire Saltzman,
No.
Squire Thompson, Squire Whitehead,
Yes.
Squire Yates,
Yes.
Judge Executive Keith Tall.
Yes, motion passes. All right, next we'll move on to a Resolution 122. And, this resolution basically amends 4 sections of the administrative code.
Are you skipping 114?
I'm sorry.
114.
F?
F. Okay,
Or do you have a
yes.
different agenda than we do?
You upset Big Josh here.
Yeah.
No, let's go ahead and do 114.
Okay.
This is related to approval of the detention center pay grade changes. Again, this is a 1 pay grade increase of about 5%. Okay? Is there a motion to approve?
So moved. Second.
All right, moved in second. Was there a second? Did you get
Aaron,
that?
yes, second.
Okay.
Saltzman,
And any discussion?
Yes, to be consistent with my no vote on the budget, there were some salary increases that I didn't think we need to make. So to be consistent, I'll be voting no.
Okay, any other discussion? Okay, roll call, please.
Squire Clem,
Yes.
Squire Hicks,
Yes.
Squire Muse,
No.
Squire Pennington,
Yes.
Squire Saltzman,
Yes.
Squire Thompson, Squire Whitehead,
Yes.
Squire Yates,
Yes.
Judge Executive Keith Tall.
Yes, motion passes. Now, Resolution 122. So this is Resolution 122 amends 4 sections of the Administrative Code, which is required by KRS 68.005. The current Administrative Code complies with all the laws and regulations, but allows changes proposed by the magistrates in June of each year. This resolution requires a 2/3 majority vote of Fiscal Court members, which would be 6 votes to approve. These are changes proposed by some of the magistrates, and so we will move through some discussion and see where this goes.
Judge, if you don't mind, I have a revised resolution that takes out the take-home policy along with the social media policy that I'd like to present to the court and to be voted on.
Okay, so you're wanting to replace the one that we have
Correct.
right
I'd
now?
like to replace Resolution 2025-122 with Resolution 2025-127. And for reference on here, this says 123. I was just told that that resolution number was wrong, so, on my paper.
Okay,
But the only difference between the two is that they take out the take-home policy along with the social media policy.
okay.
You making a motion?
Once everybody.
Just let me have a look at it here a minute. Okay, so without having to read all the way through it, then the two
They're the
exhibits
exact
that
same.
are left are worded exactly the same as what we've had
Talked with
before.
that
Is that-
committee, correct. So Judge, I make a motion to approve Resolution 2025-127.
Okay?
Second
Motion.
127 now, you said?
Yes, that's the, I scratched that out. I was told I had the wrong number at the top. So,
Thanks, just making sure.
yes.
Okay.
Second.
It's been moved and there's a second. Is there some discussion?
Well, so we're putting in the social media back in.
No, Larry, we're voting on, excuse me, Judge, I'll explain it if you'd like. We're only voting on the use of the county facilities policy and the policy of the admin code changing the language of the court committees. Right here, this page here that he just passed out.
So basically, they removed the social media policy and removed the take-home vehicle policy from this.
So we're voting on the other four.
On the other four.
Okay, that's what I thought, but then when you presented this, it kind of threw me there, so.
Yeah.
But, yeah, I'll put my 2 cents worth in here. I don't like what's going on here. Judge Tall was elected as be the judge executive for Hardin County. And I don't like the magistrates trying to take over the court here and telling the judge what he can do and can't do. The biggest majority of the people of Hardin County voted for him, so I think we need to let him be the judge, and the magistrates need to quit sticking their nose in the business here. So I said that to say this: I'll be voting no against this.
All right.
Larry, where were you at in committee?
Okay,
when we
just a
discussed
second.
this?
Just a second.
Oh,
Okay.
sorry.
Do you have something to add? I mean, I'd prefer that you don't address him directly. If you have something to say that is different than what him. Okay? Anybody else have any discussion items around this? I do have a few things that I have prepared. A lot of it was dealing with the social media policy, so thankfully, you won't have to bear through that with me, because I have a lot of problems with that particular change that was proposed. And so we'll bypass that and go on then to, and also the take-home vehicle, there's lots of reasons that does not need to be changed. So I'm glad that those two are removed. As far as the other requested changes, I just have a few things to say about these. First, I'll start with, was Exhibit B, now it's Exhibit A, I think, for the use of county facilities. I believe that the proposed change, which is mainly, I think, item 2 about the promotion of private for-profit business. I believe this is already covered in the judge executive policies and procedures, and is of course implemented. So I think that this proposal is redundant. So one example of what, for instance, I would allow, and this doesn't seem to have the flexibility to allow, would be, under certain circumstances and parameters, have food trucks on our property, you know, for people to utilize. So I don't know if that's what it was meant to do, but it appears to be that way. So that's just one example. You know, there may be others as we go forward, but you know, I don't believe there's a need for it, and it takes away some ability to have you know, some flexibility when it makes sense. So that's basic comments for that one. And then as far as a committee chair creating a temporary committee, I believe that the judge executive establishes fiscal court committees, and with a majority concurrence of fiscal court, obviously. And then the established committees are, just as a reminder for those in the public, that finance is one of them, resources and community support, public works, and emergency services. These 4 committees pretty much cover everything that we do. And so we have various county employees that, and other government and quasi-government representatives that are assigned to these specific committees. Care is taken not to create any additional meetings than are necessary for the proper operation of the day-to-day activities of county government. So all that to say that powers are granted by the administrative code that detail county procedures and the responsibilities of various officials. And generally, it generally wouldn't grant independent administration power to magistrates outside of their role within fiscal court. KRS 67.080, item 3, states that fiscal court shall not exercise executive authority except as specifically assigned by statute. Another note here, be reminded that the county judge executive serves as the chief executive of the county and holds the primary administrative and executive authority. And as I stated before, we already have 4 working committees. I believe that this proposal is a bit of overreach by some of the magistrates and creates unnecessary power to create their own subcommittee, whether the judge executive agrees with it or not. So those are some problems I have with that section and that change. Another one is the step and grade committee. This committee proposed membership addition of 2 magistrates, I believe oversteps the executive and administrative role of the judge executive regarding the day-to-day operations of the county. It also causes this committee to possibly be subject to the Open Meetings Act. This current internal committee is comprised of 5 county government employees, excluding the judge executive, who are familiar and or directly involved with human resources, finance, employee job descriptions, and the daily operations of the county. This change would also be redundant since the recommendations of the committee, this committee that we're talking about, the Step and Grade Committee, are forwarded to the Resources and Community Support Committee for discussion and approval, not approval to send to fiscal court. So there's another level in there that is already available for asking questions and if there's issues to get those answered. The magistrates, to sum that up, the magistrates currently have plenty of opportunities to ask questions and review the recommendations before they are presented to fiscal court. So in essence, this change doesn't make any sense to me. This internal committee's purpose is to make sure that the recommendation to the resource committee is appropriate by being in line with the step and grade system and its policies. This committee is really just a let's double check it kind of meeting, and that's all it's really for. So for those reasons, I believe that these changes really aren't necessary. They just add some additional work and oversight that, that we can handle in other ways and have handled in other ways. So that's why I have take issue with these and will not be supporting them. All right, at that.
I'd like to make a comment, sir, if it's okay.
Yeah, go ahead, please.
Just to clarify, the only addition, as you stated, I'm proposing is the permitted use of the county government property, and that is to prohibit the conduct or promotion of private for-profit business. Nonprofit community use would still be allowed, provided the county is a sponsor, member, or participant, and there is a clear connection between the organization's purpose and the services or mission of county government. This proposed change is in response to a recent situation that brought this issue to our attention. While I understand we've been assured that the matter has been addressed, I believe that's all the more reason to include this language in the administrative code. Addressing a concern informally is helpful, but placing it in policy helps ensure consistency, transparency, and protection for future administrations as well. This isn't about pointing fingers, it's about good governance. It's about being proactive and putting safeguards in place that protect public property and maintain the trust of our constituents. Thank you, sir.
All right. And I'll just reply real quick that even though there was what I would say a mistake that was made, there's already things in place that say that this is not appropriate. So it's pretty hard. What I'm concerned about, one of the things I'm concerned about is whenever there's a mistake made, and there's going to be some mistakes made, okay? We're dealing with a bunch of people here, and as good and as trained as they are, they will make some misjudgments. And I've made my share of them myself. So to respond to a mistake, and it was taken care of, and it won't happen again, and then to feel a need to add to a policy or change a policy because there was a mistake made seems, it doesn't seem like there's enough there to, I mean, if this was, just rampant in our Hardin County government, then of course we would need to look and see why that would be. But I still don't see the need for it. Any other discussion? Roll call, please.
Squire Clem,
Yes.
Squire Hicks,
No.
Squire Muse,
Yes.
Squire Pennington,
Yes.
Squire Saltzman,
Yes.
Squire Thompson, Squire Whitehead,
Yes.
Squire Yates,
Yes.
Judge Executive Keith Tall.
No. Motion passes. Okay, we'll move on to the consent agenda.
Judge, before we do,
Yes.
I have a resolution that I'd like to present. It is Resolution 2025-128. It is a change to the social media policy and the take-home vehicle policy to be put into our policies and procedure handbook. It's the exact same thing that was presented and talked about in committee.
All right, so we do get to go through a bunch of stuff.
One copy.
What is this one for?
That goes with the social media policy. It had to be a separate, it goes with the
Oh,
policy.
you have copies of each
Yeah.
of that too.
On here it says 124, but it needs to say 128. I guess the exhibits got off, or the resolution numbers.
What was the number again?
128. And the only difference in this one is the change it from admin code to the policies and procedures.
All right, so rather than me just reading this by myself, I'll just read through it. This is Resolution 2025-128. Be it resolved upon recommendation of Magistrate Aaron Pennington, after discussion at the Resources and Community Support Committee, to replace the social media policy in Chapter 8, Section 10 of the Hardin County Personnel Policies and Procedures Handbook with Exhibit A to this resolution. Be it resolved upon recommendation of Magistrate Aaron Pennington, after discussion at the Resources and Community Support Committee, to add the existing language of IT Security Policy 2.3 to Chapter 8, Section 7 of the Hardin County Personnel Policies and Procedures Handbook with Exhibit B to this resolution, and to add the form to execute this policy found in Exhibit D to this resolution. Be it resolved upon the recommendation of Magistrate Chris Yates, after discussion at the Resources and Community Support Committee, to replace the county vehicle policy in Chapter 8, Section 8 of Hardin County Personnel Policy and Procedures Handbook with Exhibit C to this resolution. And be it resolved that all policies inconsistent with this resolution shall conform.
So do you need a second?
Yes, just give me a minute here. And the reason I'm taking a minute is because it's the first I've seen these.
It's the exact same thing that was
I
on the
understand,
agenda.
but I did not know that they would be divided, and I haven't seen these specific resolutions. So I believe since this is not a change to the administrative code, it just takes a simple majority vote, correct? All right. Is there a motion and second for this
So
resolution?
moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion?
Yes, I'd like to make some comments, if I may.
Yes.
At this juncture, I don't think that we're prepared to revise these policies as our social media policies. And the two things that I guess I have concern about is that departments will fall, other than animal care and control, will fall under Hardin County government. And I'm concerned that folks out there that are using our social media pages have become familiar with going to the specific departments. So I'm concerned that they may lose some of that important information that they need to know, for example, from emergency services, 911, the coroner's office. I know and understand that they can get used to change, but there again, that there has to be a lot of care taken in communicating these changes to our community members. And initially, I think it's going to cause a lot of confusion. I think it's premature. I also have a problem with the fact that non-government, non-county government events and festivals are not to be included on our social media page. I take issue with that. I think Hardin County as a whole should support these events and these activities. I think as a government body, we should embrace that opportunity and support those events. Just as others out there are supporting county government, we should support the festivals that take place in our community. I just feel like this is not the revision that's needed at this time, and those are just two examples. So I'm going to be voting no because of that. I also have an issue with the take-home vehicle policy. I think it's premature. I don't think that we've had enough time to investigate and itemize all of the consequences that are going to be created from this policy change. And it's a major policy change for our county employees. We need to investigate it further. We need to see how much money we're talking about saving. And maybe we do make some changes. I'm not saying we don't. I just think it's premature. We can change these two items anytime that we come to fiscal court. With the administrative code, we can only change those issues during the month of June each year. But when we change the policy and procedures handbook, we can do that at any fiscal court meeting. And I just hesitate to rush into making changes this important and this crucial without investigating them in more detail. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Anybody else?
Yes. Again, this is, it sounds like a sneak attack. They was all together. Now all of a sudden they was pulled, two of them was pulled out. It just makes everything look suspicious to me. You know, we've seen the public taken out of all of our meetings. The public doesn't have any say-so in those. They can't come in. They can come in and sit, but they can't say anything. And now we're trying to take the public out of social media. I mean, what is next? And again, this is just really upsets me that we've got some magistrates here that's trying to overpower this court. You know, we got a squad in Washington, D.C., and I think we got a squad here in Hardin County that's trying to rule everything their way. And I'm really disgusted with this. So I said that to say this, I will definitely vote no on this.
All right, thank you. Anybody else have any comments?
I do, Judge.
Okay.
Judge, I anticipated that there would be some pushback when I brought up the take-home vehicle policy, and that's understandable. Take-home vehicles are a valuable benefit. After all, who wouldn't appreciate having their commute covered by taxpayer dollars? My position is that our current guidelines are far too vague. As it stands, they leave too much room for subjective interpretation and case-by-case exceptions, which creates inconsistency and potential inequity. We could argue all day as to about why one department or role should have been included or excluded. But without clear, objective standards, we're setting ourselves up for ongoing debate and confusion. I personally do not see a compelling need for building and grounds or code enforcement to have take-home vehicles. I respect the work they do, but I have a hard time classifying those roles as emergency responders. We need to draw a clear line between operational support roles and true emergency personnel who are expected to respond immediately at all hours. When it comes to emergency management, I agree that some flexibility is necessary, but even then, we need guardrails. Allowing vehicles to be driven home by employees living outside of Hardin County increases our liability and sets a precedent that could quickly spiral. There needs to be a clear written limit that protects both the county and the taxpayers. This policy does exactly that. Ultimately, this isn't about denying anyone a benefit. It's about establishing strong, consistent, and fair policies that can be applied equally to everyone. We owe it to our employees, our departments, and our citizens to have standards that are transparent, defensible, and in the best interest of the county as a whole.
Okay. Anybody else? All right. That leaves me. I was hoping not to have to go through all this. So, the social media policy. So, I'll start by saying that we already have a social media policy in the personnel handbook and have added some of these guidelines to our administrative guidelines. And I have problems with certain sections of this proposed policy. Specifically, the shutdown of the Facebook pages of EMS in emergency management. All the language referring to official Hardin County government business, services, and events, I have a problem with that. The promoting of non-county government-sponsored events or festivals, big problem with that. And limiting the county response to Facebook to this statement. Please contact us for further information about this at our 270-765-2350, which is our general number that rings into my office area, or info@hardincountykentucky.gov. That's what people will see when they post something on social media. So Facebook is designed for those that use it a lot. I'm not necessarily one of those people, but a lot of people do. And it is designed for two-way communication and interaction. These restrictions not only lack transparency, but are the opposite of transparency, the opposite of communication. So this will stifle conversation. It will prevent the county from building an engaged online community, and does not promote county government involvement in events and festivals sponsored by our awesome unincorporated towns like Ronnieville, Cecilia, White Mills. Just go ahead and name all of them out in the county. And it also doesn't help our city governments with their all the things that they try to do. I mean, one of the things that I stressed with Amy Inman in Elizabethtown was anytime that Elizabethtown was having a big event, or any event for that matter, that we would try to put it on our social media to try to get the word out to even more people in the county that would be interested in being there and being a part of that event. Directly responding to comments on Facebook allows for quicker dissemination of information and corrections of misinformation, especially during emergency situations. One fairly recent example of that was the ice storm that we had back in the winter. And the decision was made, because of our limited resources and people, that our road department would not be cleaning the county roads immediately, that we decided to wait. But in the meantime, Elizabethtown and Radcliffe and the state all had their trucks out there. So it did look odd that we didn't have ours. So social media, then there were some people that took issue with that and were saying some pretty negative things, as you can imagine. And so whenever Megan McDougall came to me and said, this is what's going on, then we worked on a response that explained why this was happening and why our trucks were not out there. And we had good reason for it. So once that response was put out there, then people appreciated the extra information, they understood it, didn't necessarily answer everybody's questions, but at least most of them were very positive about that and understood why that was happening. But that's just one example. There are so many that we are utilizing social media, and I'll give you some statistics here in just a minute of what our social media looks like currently. In fact, let me just do that right now. Facebook followers, we have approximately 19,000 in Hardin County. And on our Hardin County government page, we have another 2,100 on EMS and another 3,000, over 3,000 on emergency management page. Now, again, some of those could overlap, but those are the numbers. So you add those up, it's over 24,000 followers of these Facebook pages. Facebook views, this is the number of times that the content was played or displayed. And these are numbers as of June 24th, and whenever you add these Facebook views up, this is from January 1st this year to current, so approximately 6 months. And we've had over 6,500,000 views on the Hardin County government page, and about 500,000 on the other two page apiece. So over 7,600,000 views. So you can see pretty quick, just looking at those statistics, that people are interested in what's going on in the county. They are interested in what's going on. They may live in Cecilia, but they might be interested in what's going on in White Mills or some other part or Elizabethtown. So there's this dissemination of information is happening, and I think it's happening quite well. And these numbers weren't anywhere near this last year. So that doesn't just happen. That takes a lot of effort, a lot of work by several people. And this was an initiative from the very beginning when I took office, and I thought it was for all of our magistrates too, that we wanted to be more, communicate more. We wanted to be as open and try to help our citizens understand what's going on in the county and understand some of their issues. You know, some of our residents don't mind calling. You know, I get my share of phone calls, and that people are quite vocal, or some people are, and don't mind making a phone call. And I'm sure some of you have received these types of phone calls, and they're appreciated because you want to know what's going on in the county and in your districts. Social media is more for people that aren't comfortable for doing that, and they don't mind getting on the computer, getting on Facebook, and writing down their concerns and sending it out. Sometimes it might be to get a little more, see if there's others out there that are with them, and if so, then that's even more powerful as far as getting some response. So this is really a quandary of why we would put these restrictions in place, and it's not a question of if, it will be a reversal of what we've accomplished so far with this one part of our ability to communicate with our citizens and understand the issues that we need to work on. It's not everything, it's not the whole picture, but it is a big picture. And we've developed it in such a way that we are able to do that. So it's really disturbing to me that we want to take this approach that we are going to take exactly a 180-degree turn. And by placing this comment, please contact us for further information, and giving a phone number and a email, that will just turn off most of them. They're not on social media to get a message like that. If they wanted to contact me directly, or any of you, or email, then they would have done it. This will stifle, and it will reverse all this hard work, and it has been hard work to get to this point. And I'm actually very pleased and proud that we have come this far. And now we get this. This is, I do not understand it at all. So maybe somebody will enlighten me on why in the world we would go down this path.
Judge, if I may,
Okay,
I'd like to
I was going to go to the next one, but we'll go ahead and talk about that.
So, you know, obviously I'm the one who brought it forward. I know it was mentioned that we're rushing or we need more time to investigate this matter. This was introduced almost roughly 2 years ago. We started this process. Brought it to your attention, brought it to Patsy's committee, and started discussing, hey, we need to start looking at this, we need a policy. Several people that are a part of that, that are affiliates with the government and other entities actually expressed how they already have a social media policy. Basically just like this. We actually have looked at theirs. So in terms of investigating, we've done that. We've looked at that. Again, roughly 2 years now. For those that have been in attendance or awake during these meetings, we've had the opportunity to discuss every single item in here. Not once, even last week when we discussed it again, when it was brought again, did we discuss any changes besides one or two, which was the comment, the exact phrase. And the only discussion was, hey, we don't like that. Let's change it to add a correct phone number and a correct email address. It was changed because that was part of the discussion. So in regards to the comments that have been made that it's going to reverse or create a 180, I highly disagree. So for those who don't know, I actually have a degree in marketing. I studied social media. I've grown up in the era of social media. I'm very well aware of social media. I've studied it. I use it for my other job as well. What a lot of these pages that we have can be solved by drawing attention to the main page, one source of information, right? Right now we have a little bit here, a little bit here, a little bit here. All that same information can be shared. All that same information can be given to the public. It's not about not including that information that's important. We're not saying we're not limiting what information we share in that regards from the county government, because that's what that is, right? The things that we're involved in as a government, because that's what it should be. But we're directing, so in a time of need, we don't have to search, well, which page should I go to, right? We're not saying, oh, let's look at all these different pages. We know to go to Hardin County government pages where there's already almost 20,000 followers. The other pages were created when we took office. They weren't here under the previous administration. There's a reason for that. You know, and I've brought to your attention some of the reasons why we don't need to have a bunch of different pages. It's not supervised efficiently by a bunch of different people in different departments. We have a person for this reason, and it makes sense for that person to be in charge of social media in general. So I wholeheartedly disagree with your comments as far as making a 180. That's not going to happen. We're already out there. The reach is already out there. And now, in regards to the comment itself, it's more or less to create a professional response for people that need to. If they want to, they can message us. If people need a direct message, or if we need to relay the message like you're talking about with the roads, you can create a follow-up post that says, hey, we've had a lot of comments regarding this. To address this situation, here's our response in regards to the roads. We did this because of X, Y, and Z, and everybody sees it again. It doesn't have to be responded to every single little comment. That's part of the issue too, is some of the comments that are responded back to. But in general, you know, the comments that this is going to make a 180, that's not accurate at all. The fact that we're rushing to we need to investigate this more, that's also false. We've been doing this for 2 years before all these issues actually came up. And it's a prime example of why we need to put this in place, is because maybe these issues wouldn't have happened if this was in place 2 years ago. I brought it to the committee and said, hey, let's talk about it. The comments were made, okay, well, we'll look at it, we'll get with HR, we'll get different people, we'll start looking at it. Every month, it's like it was back on the docket to discuss at the committee. It came up, well, we're not ready yet. We don't know yet. Oh, we did take some of this information and used it. Okay, follow up the next meeting. Oh, we did take a little more information, we used it. We keep kicking the can down the road. It kept saying, well, we'll get to it, we'll do it. We never did it. And so it's time to do it. We need to protect the county from any potential legal action. We also need to be a lot more pointed in the direction that we're taking. We can funnel everybody into one source of solid, good information, not a bunch of different news sources that are not overseen by our quote-unquote PR person. That's my opinion.
Yeah, just a few comments. The potential legal action, I'm just curious of how much risk that really is. So it's, I mean, we've been doing this same thing now and working through this for over 2 years, and I'm not aware of any, anything close to any legal action. I'm not saying that it couldn't happen, but it could happen in just about anything that we're doing here. So anybody can bring legal action. So it's, I mean, and we do have a policy that's out there right now that's got disclaimers, and we have, if you go to the Facebook pages now, you see the disclaimers of all the stuff that, you know, that we handle that kind of takes care of a high percentage, I have no idea what percentage, of possible legal actions. So I don't know why that is even part of this discussion, but it is, I suppose. The other thing, too, is I don't know what problems we're trying to solve with this. I mean, we were able, with the current policy, to build this thing up to 19,000 followers. And making these changes, especially when you get out into the, when it looks like this thing would restrict the ability to include information about, for instance, festivals. Why that was a specific thing that I guess somebody has considered that a problem with us providing that information or helping our communities out in the county get that information out. And they don't all have big Facebook pages or websites or resources really to do a lot of things. So this, I think, is another part of this that doesn't make sense to me. Why we would, like, again, stop the ability to communicate things that are going on out in the county. That is, that's part of how this thing has grown, you know. So I'm not sure, I mean, even with all your credentials in marketing, why you would think that would be a step in a good direction by restricting that type of activity, that we get so many positive responses whenever you go look and see what happens whenever something like that is put out there. And so whenever you take it out and people don't see that stuff, then what makes you think with your marketing credentials that is going to be a positive, we'd still like to grow it more, or even would allow us to stay where we're at right now?
I do want to mention the legal issue. So March of 2024, I brought an initial social media policy because of the legal issue. This policy has changed since then, but it was in response to a U.S. Supreme Court decision, and I brought it and said that there was some urgency, and it's a year and a half later.
So this is a response to an issue that happened where?
U.S. Supreme Court.
U.S. Supreme Court, and they said?
There's a First Amendment issue, and that's part of the policy addresses that.
So do you know which part of it?
Yeah, about the comment. We've had these discussions.
Yeah. So.
Because if you have the comment feature on, you have to keep the comment feature on or off, and then there's some open records issues as well.
Right. So the disclaimers that we have out there right now don't address that?
Not completely.
Not completely. Okay. Well, I still think we're overreacting. We've got the disclaimers where they need to be. We don't have any issues. And, you know, so many communities are able to do this and continue to do it. And, you know, it's still an overreaction even to a Supreme Court. You know, some things just don't make sense, and this is one of them.
To be clear, those disclaimers actually came initially from this policy whenever I brought it. So, I mean, had I not even brought it then, we wouldn't even have those.
Yeah. And that's fine. I mean, I think there was a reaction to some of those that went back and looked at it. And I think we addressed the things that needed to be addressed.
We didn't. No.
Well, so, any other comment on this one? This is, again, a big one, and it's going in the wrong direction.
I just want to say, Judge, I completely agree with Magistrate Pennington on his comments and his reasoning. This gives us an opportunity to control potential abuse. It reduces potential liability. You can argue that all day long, but I firmly believe that. It also gets accurate information out to the public. If you get out, if one person posts something inaccurate and it is relayed to someone, you can correct it all you want to, but once it's out there, it's out there. And an important thing to remember is that this goes into the Policies and Procedures Handbook. So if we find that any part of this is causing an issue for our citizens, we can always, at any point in time, revisit this. So it's not something that's carved in stone all the way. And so I think it's a policy that we need to put in place. And I said in committee the other day, we have kicked this can down the road for 2 years, and it's time to take action and to shore up what we see as issues. I'll stop at that.
Any other discussion on this part of it? All right, I'm going to move over to the take-home vehicle policy that's part of this. I have problems with the designations of which vehicles are take-home vehicles and which ones are not. There are specific circumstances that I have reviewed in relation to each vehicle and employee that is involved in the take-home policy. And I have considered the cost to the county in relation to the requirements for emergency call, location of the employee's home with respect to the large geographical area of this county, and the resultant safety of the employees and citizens along with response times. All those things have been considered. Now, as a judge executive responsible for the daily operations of the county government, I believe there should be an addition, if we must have language, but in addition to the language of the policy, if there must be one, that the judge executive may make exceptions to which vehicles are take-home vehicles based upon the safety and response times for our citizens by our employees, partly due to the large geographical area of the county and other considerations. So once again, this is another proposed restriction that limits the judge executive to make the best decisions. It is an example of very limited research on the effects that was once again proposed without asking me or the deputy judge executive about the negative impacts on our citizens. Now, there was words used in regard to this that mentioned inconsistency. Don't know where that's at. Confusion. Not sure what that means. I don't know. I'm not confused. I don't believe there's inconsistency. A lot of times I think fairness is defined by being the same everywhere, whenever in reality there are circumstances that are different for each of our employees and what their responsibilities might be and where they live and just all the variables that need to be taken into consideration. So I'll give you some examples of why this policy really is not needed and it's even ill-advised. Let's look first at the buildings and grounds vehicle that's mentioned here. This is currently a take-home vehicle for the Director of Buildings and Grounds Department, who is an exempt salaried employee. And this position, it's required by me to be available 24/7 due to the responsibilities to other departments, along with other weather-related reasons, all for the safety of employees and community visitors. Now, this vehicle contains a lot of tools necessary for emergency situations and is equipped to handle road conditions to enable the director to get to emergency situations such as snow or ice events, and compared to a personal vehicle. The government properties that the department is responsible for are E911 cell sites, there's 6 of those, Pear Orchard, Radcliffe, West Point, Valley Creek, Sonora, and Eastview. So spread all over the county. Building sites, we have the grounds, we have mechanical things that are going on with HVAC, plumbing, electrical things that are happening at these sites, things that go wrong. The government building includes the offices of sheriff and E911, which are 24/7, 365. EMS Station 1, Elizabethtown Emergency Management, and the coroner's office, again, 24/7, 365 facility. EMS Station 2 in Radcliffe, again, 24/7, 365 facility. We have the issues that could happen with the old EMS building. That's got a bunch of voting storage in there, and I could keep going down the list. So whenever, of course, animal control, where we're concerned about the welfare of the animals if something were to go wrong. So examples of some events that have occurred fairly recently, as West Point E911 Center went down at night during the flood. Government building planning and zoning office water line broke on Sunday of Memorial Day weekend. Rising water concerns and furnace failure at animal control before work hours. A car rammed the county attorney's office before work hours. HVAC failures in EMS 1 and coroner's office. Snow plowing, salting, all of these things have to be considered whenever we're determining whether this position needs a take-home vehicle or not. I've determined that because of these things and some others that I haven't written down, that this does require a take-home vehicle. This new requirement here says no. And so that is a direct, again, another 180-degree turn from what the decision that has been made up to this point. Nothing really confusing about it. There's nothing that indicates, any kind of inconsistency. It's just, these are just the facts. Another example is restricting the code enforcement vehicle to another misinformed, it's just a misinformed proposal here. The code enforcement officer is a non-exempt hourly employee in this case, lives about 7 miles from Hardin County Government Building, but covers all the unincorporated area of the county. The vehicle is a specifically marked truck, carries signs, boots, other gear, and drives onto private property. Since in this case he's an hourly employee, the county would be paying him to drive back to the office to deliver the truck by the end of the workday. This can take away from time a code enforcement officer is working. Currently, he clocks out when he is finished in the field at the end of the workday and then drives home instead of driving back to the office at the end of the day to retrieve his personal vehicle. So it is more efficient, less costly for the officer to take the vehicle home considering his hourly rate compared to the cost of a round trip of about 15 miles with the size of this county. Now, he sometimes meets citizens at their property early in the mornings and evenings due to their schedules, and he also assists the sheriff's department and the health department at sites in the early mornings and late afternoons. It is a decision, I've made that decision, that our citizens are better served in this case by allowing a take-home vehicle for this code enforcement officer. Again, nothing confusing about it. There's nothing inconsistent about it. There are good reasons for the way this is laid out. And again, this is the opposite of what this proposed policy would do. One other note, and this one is just as important, maybe even more so. There's a take-home vehicle in this policy who were not to give have a take-home vehicle for any employee who resides more than 5 miles outside of the Hardin County. And this would negatively impact our citizens during certain emergencies and has very little effect on the budget, which I assume is the reason for doing it. I don't know. The Deputy Emergency Management Director, who is an exempt salaried employee, who is required to be on either first or second on call 24/7. We've only got 2 people in that department, and they try to split that up some so that when we're all sleeping or having fun on the weekend, whatever we're doing, they may be out taking care of business with emergencies in the middle of the night or any time of the day and night. This person now lives approximately 10 miles from the county line, south of the county. His responses to this area of the county, which covers Highway 84, I-65 south, southern part, Bluegrass Parkway, truck stops, all these things, that response is still faster than what the emergency director would be. And of course, emergency director, we can't expect him to be on call necessarily. Maybe you would, I guess. Maybe by doing this, you're saying we would expect him to be on call 365 days out of the year, 24/7. So in most cases, the response time would be greater if he had to drive a personal vehicle to pick up the emergency response vehicle. So those are 3 what I would say very big concerns that I have about adopting this. This one I did not know anything about until I was told about it after the committee meeting. Was not expecting it and was not expecting a need for it. And this is the best I could do to come up with in a short amount of time with all the other responsibilities that we have, and taking time to try to document why, not just try to speak to it, but document why this change in policy would create some problems. Now, I won't even get into the ripple effect of making changes like this without talking with the people that are being impacted by it. And, you know, it's just saying, because, you know, these take-home vehicles are part of their job and they work hard, they do good work for our county and for our citizens, and then just kind of out of the blue come up with this policy that says, no, what you've been asked to do on an ongoing basis and off time and all this stuff is just not needed, and therefore we're going to change it all for you and expect you to do just as good a job. So, you know, it's hard. It is hard with all these changes that are being proposed to have a good work environment here. We don't pay people top-notch pay. Many of them are working here because it's a good environment to work. You know, there's some benefits that they may not get some other places. But at the end of the day, we try to make it a place that people appreciate. They want to come to work. It's a team atmosphere, and most importantly, they feel appreciated. They feel appreciated. It's not just about the paycheck, in other words. And that's how we keep maybe some of the turnover from happening. We're already seeing some turnover because of some of the things that have been discussed, some of the things even during the budgeting time that was discussed. And those, so I spend much more time with damage control and trying to figure out how to make sure that they know that they are appreciated and that they, you know, that their jobs are needed and that they are providing a service to their county that I would like to say all of Fiscal Court believes in. With some of these changes, it makes it pretty tough, to be honest with you. And that's just kind of a side note. It's not a direct thing, but as we see more, and I assure you there will be more turnover, and then there's all the training costs that go with it. So if some of this stuff has to do with trying to save some money, I think we're just barking up the wrong tree on that one. and we'll end up losing money and hurting our budget if that's the only thing you want to look at. So I am asking you to reevaluate these changes. I think like Patsy was saying, I think that we don't have to make these changes today. And I understand that we were presented with the, I mean, this one on the take-home vehicles is something brand new. I didn't know about it, about this desire to change this one. And then this kind of last second, throw this in here, you know, as a separate resolution, and it's just disturbing.
Just to be fair, Judge, it's the exact same resolution that was on the agenda. Nothing changed, so it was not sprung on you.
No, I mean, I have a response here, so the problem I have with it is
So
that
it wasn't sprung on you, as you stated.
there was a brand-new resolution, yes.
Brand new
Okay.
resolution, exact same verbiage.
Okay, and I obviously didn't have a chance to read it, to verify, and to understand exactly what was in it.
Well, I'll go
So-
on record to say, I promise, it's the exact same verbiage.
Okay, very good. Still doesn't mean that it couldn't have, some of these things that have happened today couldn't have been expressed beforehand, and so that I could at least see them, that this was about to happen. You know, where we're taking one resolution, dividing it into two, coming up with numbers that don't even match. I mean, it's just kind of like a last minute type of deal here, and it just makes it more difficult to work through this type of thing. I would have liked to have known earlier. That's all.
That
On
we were separating
on
it?
Yeah,
You had no idea that we were separating them, we're pulling those out?
I didn't know that we're separating them though.
For clarification, if I may, insert this information, this proposed change was introduced at the Resources and Community Support Committee meeting on June 16th. That was the initial introduction of this proposal by Magistrate Yates. And I also had no knowledge that these two items were going to be voted on today separately. I knew they were being pulled, but I did not know they were being introduced separately.
Yes.
Also
So
to
I
note,
agree to that.
at that same meeting, when it was asked if there's any objection or any other comments, there was no objection. Most of them said that they agreed, they wanted to push forward. Also, if I may, I'm pretty sure, Patsy, you had mentioned how other places like Nolan, when they have on-call vehicles, you know, those people that respond to emergency situations, most of the time when they have one vehicle and they have to go back to the station, most of our law enforcement, they have to, you know, they can't just drive around their vehicles for personal use. Some policies, I think city police and, if I'm not mistaken, the county police, they have jurisdictions that they can't park their vehicles without of. In fact, we also discussed how Louisville Metro had to park one somewhere around West Point because they lived in Hardin County. Again, these things were discussed. They weren't, I know, you weren't there, right?
I was not there.
Okay, that's right.
I didn't know that this
And then there was
Well,
a couple of suggestions.
For clarification on the comment, though, Magistrate Pennington, the comment I made was, in my experience through Nolan RECC, when linemen are hired, they're told that is the policy. But in contrast, when county employees that are hired, we're changing what they've been told when they were hired. So this is going to create a consequence, a negative consequence. And that's what I was referring to when I mentioned this needs to be thoroughly examined to look at the pros and the cons of what we're getting ready to do, because it's critical to those employees.
And your words were, I have no problem with it.
I did at the time, but you'll have to remember, it was just introduced at the Resources Committee on June 16th. I like to take my time to think things over. I don't like to make rash decisions like that.
Like the social media, 2 years discussing that one.
I didn't see a complete social media revised policy until recently.
May I ask a question?
Yes.
Sorry. Do we have GPS trackers on all of our vehicles?
Why do you ask?
Because it's my right to ask if we have GPS trackers on all of our
I didn't know
vehicles.
the purpose of it, but I don't think we do. We do on some vehicles that the county uses, you know, for instance, on the road department, they do have those installed.
So only the road department?
I don't know of any others that haven't, but off the top of my head, I'm honestly not sure.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I call for question.
Sir. Judge, you know, I'm hearing all this, but I'm sitting here thinking about our good sheriff's department. A lot of those deputies take their cars home. And it's well needed, just like some of these people are needing a vehicle at home. So is this something else that's going to come down that, hey, the deputy sheriffs can't take their vehicles home? I mean, where's this crazy nonsense stop at?
Judge, I called for a question, and we have a second on the floor.
Second, again.
Okay, it's been, question's been called second. Is there, let's see, I don't think there's any discussion with that. So let's go ahead and vote of whether we need to stop this discussion or not. Have a roll call, please.
Squire Clem,
Yes.
Squire Hicks,
No.
Squire Muse,
Yes.
Squire Pennington,
Yes.
Squire Saltzman,
Yes.
Squire Thompson, Squire Whitehead,
No.
Squire Yates,
Yes.
Judge Executive Keith Tall.
No. What was the count? I think we just need a simple majority for that, right?
5 yes. 3 no.
Okay, so the question passes, so the discussion ends. So we'll go ahead and have a roll call on this resolution 128.
Just the roll call.
Just roll call.
Squire Clem,
Yes.
Squire Hicks,
No.
Squire Muse,
Yes.
Squire Pennington,
Yes.
Squire Saltzman,
Yes.
E.G. Thompson, Squire Thompson, Squire Whitehead,
No.
Squire Yates,
Yes.
Judge Executive Keith Tall.
No. What's the count again on that?
5 yes, 3 no.
Okay, so motion passes. All right, let's move on to consent agenda. We have, I'll review the consent agenda first. The first 3 items are financial, A, B, and C in nature, and then also item I, which is Resolution 120. And all of these are financial types of resolutions dealing with financial reports and claims, payroll and registers, and financial transfers. The next item is item D, which is personnel changes in EMS. The next one is Resolution 116, and this is related to approval of Channel Bound LLC agreement for the Affordable Care Act reporting that we're required to do. And this is just a different vendor that we are proposing to use. The next one is the reappointment of Steve Steck to the Hardin County Planning Board of Adjustments. That's Resolution 117. Resolution 118 is, this is related to the approval of HCEC TV service fee agreement. This is just a continuing renewal of that agreement. Item H, which is Resolution 119, related to approval of interlocal agreement with Lincoln Trail Ad for workforce development. This is a renewal that happens every 5 years. Item J, which is Resolution 121, is approval of amending Resolution 219-101, Cash Drawer Fund for E911, increasing from $100 to $200, and Resolution 224-133, Cash Drawer Fund for Industrial Tax, increasing from $100 to $200. Item K is related to the approval of the Detention Center Medical Services Contract renewal, this annual renewal. This is with West Kentucky Correctional Healthcare, and they do business as Comprehensive Correctional Care. Resolution 124, this is approval of Purcell and Sons Funeral Home cremation and burial rates. This is some increase in the rates that they provide this service for us. Resolution 126 is related to approval of authorization of back payment to West Hardin Fire Department. Again, this is West Hardin Fire Department is a merger of 84 and White Mills fire departments, and so while that merger was happening, we were not paying those $500 a month payments for those, and there's also special projects payment that was held up from February 25 to June 25. So what that amounts to is a payment of $5,000 to West Hardin Fire Department, and then another about $8.5 thousand for the special project payment. And then finally, at the end, we have all the committee meeting minutes to approve. So, does anyone disagree or with or want to remove any of these items? Hearing none, is there a motion to approve the consent agenda?
So moved. Second.
Moved and seconded? That was
second.
Muse. Okay, roll call, please.
Squire Clem?
Yes.
Squire Hicks?
Yes.
Squire Muse?
Yes.
Squire Pennington?
Yes.
Squire Saltzman?
Yes.
Squire Thompson? Squire Whitehead?
Yes.
Squire Yates?
Yes.
Judge Executive Keith Tall.
Yes, motion passes. All right, that brings us to any comments. County Attorney, would you have any?
I don't, thank you.
Do you have any further comments?
No, sir.
We'll move on then to Magistrate Yates.
The only thing I have is our next emergency service meeting will be Thursday, July 10th at 3:30 p.m.
All right, Magistrate Saltzman.
No, thank you, sir.
Magistrate Whitehead.
Yes, just want to remind the community, the Resources and Community Support Committee meeting will be Monday, July 14th at 3:30. Thank you.
All right, Magistrate Clem.
Next Finance Committee meeting will be Tuesday, July the 15th at 3:30 across the hall. And our next Town Hall Forum will be here in the courtroom. It'll be Tuesday, July the 29th at 5:30 p.m. And want to remind folks, please don't drink and drive and don't text and drive.
All right, Magistrate Pennington.
No comments.
Magistrate Hicks.
Yes. I just want to apologize to the people of Hardin County. Today was just another way to take you all out of the picture of the Hardin County government. And I apologize for what has been passed today. I apologize for what has went on in the past, but I'll make my phone number available here. If you have I don't care what part of the county's in, you can call my number and I will run it up the flagpole. 270-234-4951. Call me anytime, 24/7, 365 days a year.
All right, thank you. Magistrate Muse.
Just a reminder, the next Public Works Committee meeting is 9 July. That's a Wednesday at 3:30.
All right, Next fiscal court meeting is July 8th at 3:30 p.m. A reminder that, of course, on July 4th, Independence Day, that will be a holiday and the offices will be closed. And just a final comment that things didn't go where I would have liked for them to go today. I believe we're taking a step backwards as a county government, and at the end of the day, these changes make it much more difficult to execute things that we need to execute on a day-to-day basis. We have great people that work here. They work hard, and I'll do my best to try to make them feel appreciated in spite of some of these decisions that have been made today. So we will make the best of it, and we'll keep on trudging forward for this county. I will promise that. Okay, is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Moved and second. Any objections? Meeting adjourned.